Hey everybody, welcome back. This week we're going to take a look at change of occupancy. More specifically, we're going to look at the effects on sprinkler systems when we do change occupancy and increase the hazard of the space. So I hope you enjoyed this week, and please pose your questions or comments if you have any afterwards. Thank you. To get started, let's ask ourselves a few questions. What if there is a change of occupancy? More specifically, how can this affect the sprinkler system? How many of us have thought about this? I know when I first got started, this was the last thing on my mind. I thought all sprinkler systems were created equal. But hopefully we can look in this a little bit deeper and you can draw your own conclusions. Starting in the International Fire Code, a change of occupancy shall not be made unless the use or occupancy is made to comply with the requirements of this code. According to the International Building Code, a change of occupancy of a building or structure or portion thereof shall not be made until the building official has issued a CO. Now that we've gotten some background information on changes of occupancy, let's look at an example. What if a space changed occupancy types from, let's say, Group B, business, to Group M, mercantile? How does this affect the sprinkler system? According to the International Fire Code, Section 901.4, required systems shall be extended or altered as necessary to maintain and continue protection where the building is altered, remodeled, or added to. Alterations to fire protection systems shall be done in accordance with applicable standards. So in this case, any changes shall be done in accordance with NFPA 13, the standard for installation and modifications of sprinklers. NFPA 13 defines light hazard occupancies, and that is that quantity and or combustibility of contents is low and fires with relatively low rates of heat release are expected. So some examples of this are offices, churches, clubs, etc. And as you can see, the picture in the background is of an office space. There's very little to burn, not a very high fire load. So our business occupancy would be a light hazard occupancy. According to NFPA 13, ordinary hazard group 2 occupancies have quantity and or combustibility of contents that are moderate to high, stockpiles with moderate heat release not to exceed 12 feet, and stockpiles with high rates of heat release not to exceed 8 feet. So some examples are mercantile, library, storage, etc. So our example of mercantile or retail would be ordinary hazard group 2 according to NFPA 13. Looking at our density area curves found in NFPA 13, you'll see that ordinary hazard group 2 density is 0.20, which is double that of light hazard at 0.10 density at 1,500 square feet. So this is significant to note, and if you want to know design information, this is the table to go to. So let's calculate the amount of water required. In Group B, or light hazard, we have 1,500 square foot times a 0.10 density, which equals 150 gallons per minute, plus the 100 gallon per minute inside-outside hose allowance combination equals 250 gallons per minute required. Next, let's look at Group M. 1,500 square foot times 0.20 density equals 300 gallons per minute, plus the 250 gallon per minute inside-outside hose allowance combination equals 550 gallons per minute. As you can see, there's significantly more water required for Group M, ordinary hazard Group 2 occupancies, than Group B, light hazard occupancies. Now let's look at the coverage per sprinkler for light hazard and ordinary hazard. For light hazard, you can only cover a maximum of 225 square foot per head. However, in ordinary hazard, the maximum is 130 square foot per head. So looking at a room of 225 square foot, like you see on the right, you'll see one head for light hazard can cover that whole space, while in ordinary hazard group 2, you require 2 heads and it requires almost double the water. So what have we learned? We've learned that all sprinkler systems are not created equal. In our example, we used Group B, which is light hazard, changing to a Group M, which is ordinary hazard group 2. What we see here is that modifications to the sprinkler system are going to be required, and they must be completed before we can approve the new tenant to move into the space. Do all change of occupancies in sprinklered buildings require sprinkler modifications? The answer is no. Let's say we reversed our example and said we were going from mercantile to business. We would go from a higher classification to a lower classification, and because of that, no sprinkler modifications would be required. In closing, I want to end with this question. What if we allowed the change of occupancy? Our original example was from Group B to Group M without requiring the sprinkler modifications. Well, we could end up in a situation to where we had a fire and that sprinkler system did not extinguish the fire due to not having enough water. So I hope you enjoyed this week, and I hope that you will come back and listen next week.